Evening all, Daniel Hand, RPG therapist, and once again, I've got an amazing guest who I've just learned that I've only met once, and yet I would have sworn blind I'd met you at least twice, but old man brain, if it happened before this morning, I can't remember. But I do know I was on a panel with you about a month ago about D&D in therapy, so please, everybody, welcome in joining the mastermind behind Psychology for Geeks, and a woman who, I mean, I prided myself on seeing a lot of the world, but I think you've seen even more of the world than I have. Elizabeth Sanchez Arvizu. Arvizu. I
Uh,
see. I specifically asked you your name to pronounce it properly, and I managed to cock it up.
it's
Cut,
fine.
cut, that again.
So, one of my best friends now, um, we met online, and then so I know her for like her first name, and then uh, we when we started doing um panels and like stuff together, I was like, oh, I need to like write her full name on the list of like people, and I had to ask her what her last name was like 3 times because I forgot, and I'm like, that's so weird, like for me in my head thinking you have a last name, because in my head they were just first name. Like that's all I cared about. I don't really care about anything else. And it's really nice of you to actually introduce me, because otherwise I forget to do that
No
even when
worries.
I'm doing the intro for my own videos.
Well, the
uh
hilarious thing is on the subject of surnames. My surname is Hand. So the number of times I get asked to spell the word hand is unbelievable. Seriously, it's so how you spell it?
Really?
Yeah. So the number, so you give your name on. So how are you spelling that?
Do you think it's a like, I don't think I heard this correctly, I better
Possibly,
verify?
but I've reached a stage where I wave my hand when I say it now. Hand, and it's sometimes it makes me feel like I'm not the one who's getting old. But yes, Elizabeth. So you've been on the YouTube scene for a good long while now, and you've got something like, is it 70 videos up now, and mostly panels and interviews, and you're putting the rest of us to shame, I think, is the point I'm trying to make.
Listen, like I was saying earlier, once you have a younger brother you can bully into editing stuff for you, it's just a lot easier. And I went into the route of like, well, if I am going to have a YouTube channel, I have to post consistently, right? That's what everybody tells me. That's the algorithm thing. And then I was like, all right, cool. And then it's like, content for the rest of the social media, because then I'm like, here, advertising this video, and then also, content for YouTube. So I'm like, yeah, that's how you do it. Right?
Yeah, yeah. I was saying this actually to a couple of people. Was it last week, week before? Because this channel has just fallen by the wayside. Yeah, because I was doing it weekly, but
Hmm.
I don't know what it's like for yourself over there professionally. But the world's on fire, and I have got so many clients at the moment. It's just unbelievable. I don't know if you're finding the same thing, but everybody seems to be having an emotional crisis at the moment.
Well, we are on fire. uh, I in California right now. It's kind of like a deserty, rural area, so we are living through hell right now.
You are
It's really
literally
hot.
on fire.
But yes, I've noticed that as well, because I asked. Usually, I would hear people say, "Oh, during the summer is when we get a lot of no shows, a lot of like." Hard to get new clients. And I was like, oh no. So I did this thing where I was like, oh, I'll make sure I have like enough like regular clients coming in and stuff. So last week I was like, you know what, a couple of people have not reached out for a while, so I'm thinking I'm gonna add new clients to my list. So I opened up like maybe 6 or 7 like new slots of people, and I'm like, usually I get 1 or 2, from that based on people's availability, but this time it all got full, and now I'm like, oh no, I don't have extra space,
I
because
know.
usually I'm like, yo, I have enough slots for everyone, and this time around I didn't, and I'm like, oh, I feel so bad, but somehow it all worked out. But yeah, now I have a lot of clients, and yeah, I'm like, is no one else working? Like, is everybody? Oh, that might be it. Are a lot of therapists like just taking like breaks right now? Is that what we're seeing? A lot more people reach out for help.
Maybe it's just us working and everybody else is just coming. Yeah, maybe everybody,
Yeah,
maybe we missed the boat. Maybe we should be on break as well.
right. Maybe it should just be yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that segues us into the geek stuff because on that note, we're both doing San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes,
Week after next week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'm like,
Thursday week. I work on Thursday. A week on Thursday.
yes. I'm like, I would believe you. You said this this
I
upcoming weekend, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not keeping track of time at all. Yes, so I am very excited. I'm always excited to go. That has been my first time ever going to a convention.
really.
Yeah, I was saying now 80-ish, 90-ish years ago now. Time math numbers are not good.
Yeah.
Why am I a
Again,
therapist?
if it happened before this morning, it might as well never have happened.
Yeah, but that was my first experience. So and like, to be completely honest, a lot of people, when I tell them, because like you said, I am the mastermind. I really like the fact that you use that phrase, because I love to see myself like that. And my brother's like, no. Like, my brothers never believe me. And I'm like, yes, I just need all the money. Like, I just want to be, like that greedy character in, like, the cartoons that has all the money. So then I can have
just
like
push
free.
pawns around everywhere.
Yeah. And then I'm like, and then I'll use all that power to like do free stuff, like for people in my community, and do mental health things, because that sounds like a lot of fun. And if that is not the nerdiest thing I've ever said, I don't think anything can beat it.
I'm with you. If I could get lots of money, I would do nothing but free stuff.
Yeah, like, because okay, because that's not just like so much fun. Like, so my nonprofit organization came to be just this year, like in January. That's when the whole process, like, we actually got started into the whole process. So we're kind of making it up as we go. Because I have like these big ideas, and then I realize, oh, you kind of need money for that. All right. So, postponing things here and there. But then I'm like, but listen, what about if we do a superhero camp for the kids, and then we do arts and crafts and talk about mental health? And I was like, oh, I just read this one really cool comic, and then I can do like a girls group where we talk about like advocating for yourself and communication. And then I have all of these fun ideas that I want to do, and no money. So I'm like, oh yeah, funding. That's something we have to do. So yeah, I'm in the midst of trying to figure out how to get that funding. In the meantime, I just keep creating more work for me. Wait, the point of this conversation was because I wanted to say that I created this nonprofit because
Oh my god! See, I love talking to people like yourself, Liz, because it makes me, oh Jesus, it's not just me. Charlene McPherson, she is really trying her best to convince me that I have ADHD. And I'm like, no, if I had ADHD, it would have been pointed out in the past 40 years. But I'm like, every time I speak to her, it's like, maybe.
well, after I realized that I did have it, funnily enough, my brother was the one that started convincing me of it, because anytime, and his method was actually really effective, because every time I would do anything that was like ADHD, like, he would just start chanting ADHD, ADHD. And then I would start paying attention to the things that I would do. And I was like, wait, let me just get a second opinion, because I don't want to do I self-diagnose. But yeah, it worked.
Okay, see, as soon as Charlene sees this video, that's what she's going to do now. You watch. You've just cursed me to a life of ADHD. Yeah, just
It's fun because then it just gets stuck in your brain, and then you start doing it yourself, just randomly throughout the day.
anyway. Sorry, your non-profit just psychology.
Oh, yeah. So the whole point of my nonprofit really is because I think I have to preface it with this story of my brother. One time he showed me, I think it was like a Tumblr post from like back in the day or something like that, that got turned into a story or whatever. Anyway, it it was the story of this guy who was essentially living his life out of spite. People told him he couldn't do something because he was like a biker, like he couldn't, like, have a really good, life because he had tattoos and stuff like that, like all these like stereotypical things of why you can't do that. And then so out of spite and to make sure like he shut up these people, he essentially created that life where like a very good family, the the house with the picket fence and everything, like the good career. And then so he basically, that was his motivation. And that was my origin story as a villain. Or like I went to a convention and I was like trying to be like, hey, listen, we can do panels for free if you want to, to one of the little cons here in the area. And they're like, oh no, it takes a while, they just didn't have the budget, it was a lot of working out. And then I was like, you know what, this is a lame convention anyway, it's so small, it's not like the one in San Diego. And then I guess I just
Oh, sorry. So you can. So if it's not San Diego, that's so you started off at San Diego, and if it's not as big as the biggest con in the world, that's. I see where the supervillain coming in.
because listen, I had no idea, so I assume all of the conventions were like that. And then when I started going to more of like my local cons that I had no idea existed until someone mentioned, or I came across some sort of uh announcement on social media, I was like, oh cool. And I started going and I was like, but it's not fun, like you don't have a lot of things to do, like level up. And then so in my head I was like, you know what, I could do a convention, I could do a convention, and it would be like the first convention where we talk about like mental health and like geek culture, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be better than the other ones that we have here. So that's why I started my nonprofit.
Sounds good. Where do I sign up?
Yeah. Well, you will have no choice after this.
No. Yeah.
After I meet with someone for like a few times, and then I'm like, no, we hang out, we can geek out. uh I'm like, yeah, you're one of my peoples now, so you will eventually hear from me and be like, hey, guess what? You're doing this one panel for free, and yes, that means you have to travel all the way to California, to the middle of nowhere, California, to do this one panel.
Good to know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll keep my calendar open.
you will be. Yeah, but don't expect
And I
any of this
mustn't
to happen anytime soon.
and
Since
whatever I do, I mustn't disagree with you because you're the mustache twirling cartoon
of
villain.
course.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, no, actually, no. Tell my brothers, like sometimes I do. I think this is the bad part of interviewing someone who is also like a geeky nerd, because then you're like, yeah, yeah, and then you sort of like agree with each other, and then it becomes this, yeah, me too conversation, and then it's like it gets really boring, and I'm like, no, argue with me, like say no, but then we both agree. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can say.
yeah.
Well, do you know what? I don't think you're a cartoon, but I think you're a cute, adorable little. I mean, I know you said Bugs Bunny type character, but Bugs Bunny is a complete maniac.
I would like, yeah, that's cool. I would take
Tweety
that.
Pie, he's evil as well. All the cute cartoon characters are really evil.
In hindsight.
Yeah, there is
Well,
actually. So obviously RPG therapist. There's
mm,
an RPG at the moment being kickstarted called Hell of a Town
uh-huh.
by is it Acheron Games? I forget. Not I haven't just pledged about 100 and something pounds for it. But that's where you play classic cartoon type characters, and there's a coffee pot that chugs on a cigar and has a Tommy gun, for crying out. It's just so. Hey, if you want to play a cartoon villain, I'll send you the link. You're welcome.
I was going to ask you this question, but then I realized it's probably not. Okay, so I had this interview with someone else who loves also playing RPGs, right? And then I have this argument with my sibling where I tell him he needs to stop buying RPG books if he's not going to use them, because he has a really cool one, kind of like the one that you mentioned, but it's like you use anime characters, and we were like super excited when we saw it. I was there when he bought it, and I was like, yeah, that would be cool to play. But then he's never played it. No, his looks different, so I don't think it's that one.
There are lots. Is it?
If you have it, it would be so funny.
This one?
No.
There are others. I've got them, but let's not just spend the next hour with me just pulling stuff from my shelves, because I'm never going to get them back up. But sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, like stop, or like actually like play, because I was like, even if he were to do one shot of it, I'm like, yeah, that would be cool. And I think that's part of me just wanting him to do one shots, because that's kind of all the time I can dedicate to playing an RPG game at this moment. And then he doesn't, and then so I feel excluded, and then so I bully him, and then I'm like, stop buying books. And then I realize I also have the problem with mental health books that I just continuously buy, and at some point I will read.
Nope, I don't know what you're talking about. Nope.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have brought it up.
No. Have you? But yes, but it's when you start writing your books that's when it's all downhill. So yeah,
but it's just a different type of collection now, right? Because then now you're collecting all your thoughts so you can put them in display, right? That's what books are.
Why do you think there's only one of them? I don't have many thoughts. That's it.
No, just use other people's thoughts. I mean, there's so many books, people that are like writing so many books about uninteresting things. So I had I bought a book. I was really excited about it, and it's actually pretty good, but I'm just so picky. It's called let me see, Geek Girls Don't Cry, and it's basically a lot of like fictional characters that are like super strong. It is obviously all female characters that are like super strong in like lots of different types of media, and then it shows you like it kind of tells you a brief description of the things that they've overcome and like how strong they actually are. And then I'm like, oh, that's really cool, but they don't go in depth enough when it comes to like the psychological aspect of it, which I expected for some reason. And I'm like, I could no.
You were gonna say it. You were gonna say it.
Now you got it in my brain. I did think about it. I was like, I could write a better one. And no.
World, you are welcome.
No. And then I reached out to a friend who is writing her own book. She's been wanting to do this for a while. It's a fictional book, but then she's also a therapist, and I was like, yo, we should like team up and write this book. And then she's like, yeah, maybe. And then I'm like, well, if you don't want to do it, I can find someone else that can do it. But I don't want to go through the whole process of like, I think writing it in itself wouldn't be that hard. It's just figuring out everything else of it. And then I'm like, I don't know. That sounds like I don't want to do that. If somebody did it for me, then I would be like, yeah, let's do this.
If you want support in how to write a book, tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific for the International Writers Fellowship, where we stream every week. I am a member there. Charlene McPherson watches most weeks. Booney, she watches a lot. Erica
Wait, no, no, no,
Walker.
no. I feel like this is a conspiracy now. Like you brought it up like before we started recording, and then you're making me think about all these times where I brought it up that I wanted to write a book, and then and the other day she was
Psychic
like,
connection
"Oh
here.
yeah, you should make this into a book," and I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm." No, I this is you're all getting together for this conspiracy.
She's on to us. She's on to us. Get out. Get out now. Now. Move. Move.
I don't like it here anymore.
Okay. Well,
I'm not supposed to come out of this. You know, you said it was gonna be us geeking out. You didn't say it was
no.
me
Well, do you
picking
know
up
what? We're
another
completely
hobby.
not good. Well, okay. If that's how you can tell me more about Psychology for Geeks, which we keep meaning to talk to, and then we keep getting sidetracked because, again, not ADHD. So obviously, it came to you out of spite.
Yes,
But it must have had some.
out of spite.
There must have been more to it than just spite, because I've got a lot of spite and it hasn't got me very far.
Well, I think part of it too is that so the the nonprofit itself started in January, but even before then, I heard a lot of people say social media is not good. And then out of spite, I was like, well, I'm going to create a place that is good, where, you know, you talk about good things about being in social media or the media. Because growing up, I always heard, like, you're not going to learn anything from watching cartoons or whatever. And I'm like, I beg to differ. Like, all the cool things that I learn from like anime and like movies and stuff. And I'm like, and I tell all of my friends, like Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah, I have a quote that I tell all my clients on it. Like, it's the one where he's like,
Where's
you
the
know,
rum gone? Why is the rum gone?
not that one.
Not that one. Okay.
I think he says, the problem is not the problem. The problem is how you see the problem. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's
Good line.
therapy. That's
That is
yeah.
a
And
good
I'm
line.
like, and a drunk on pirate on TV said it. And yeah, so therefore we must pay attention.
It's too right.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it started. I think eventually I did wanted to turn it into like a company of some sort, um a nonprofit. I have this idea of like renting out a space that is essentially a dreamland for all geeks and nerds, because I didn't have this growing up. So I'm like, so I want to make it. I want to create a space where people can go and geek out. And you know, all the books that you showed me earlier, all the books that are behind you, I want to be able to like display them and people can go in there and read and then like play. I want a claw machine so bad, and like a video game, like, you know, those old ones where like you play like Pac-Man and stuff. I want like a bunch of those.
I'm sorry.
And
Sorry. No. Just hold up. Did you just call Pac-Man one of those old ones?
because it
Some of
is.
us remember Pac-Man. Thank you very much.
Well,
This is the equivalent of Spider-Man. Hey, do you remember that really old movie?
oh. Well, but okay, listen, it is. I spent a lot of time on like I think I spent a lot of time with Gen Z people online, and I think that's why I'm like, yeah, it's really old. And
Really
then I
old.
realized, because I never think about how old I am, because I'm just geeking out all the time. And when
Well,
people
you're
do
18,
ask me how
obviously.
old I
Women
am, and
stop
I'm like,
aging at 18. That's how it works,
yeah,
isn't
right,
it?
right,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what all the vampire fan fiction said. Yeah, yeah, I believe that. Yeah. Um, yeah, so I want a space like that for people, because it is so much easier for me to say something like, hey, what are your hobbies? And then they start listing like hiking, making pottery, or reading, writing, playing chess, whatever it is. I'm like, cool, how often did you do it? And as adults, the answer is usually, well, I haven't done it in years, or
Mhm. Yeah.
it's been so long since the last time. And I'm like, listen, your homework forever is do more of that.
Yeah.
It's just,
Self-care all the way.
yeah. And then I'm like, it's just, it helps so much in so many ways. So if I just say, hey, just go do that, it's a lot easier than me saying, listen, self care is a good thing, something you have to do. It's because it's already something they enjoy anyway. So I'm like, yeah, just, I want to provide a space for people to geek out. And I want it do it. So therefore other people should benefit from it because I need a reason to do this other than I just want to. Um yeah. So it would be benefit for the community, and all that good stuff.
I mean, what is your form of geeking out? So obviously, you've got mine is RPGs and comics. Yours, well, and books and Pride and Prejudice and etc. But
Well, it's all
what
of
do you
it.
turn to?
ADHD brain. So before I have
I don't have ADHD. Stop.
no, my brain.
Yeah, I know.
I have eras. I think that's what the kid nowadays are calling it. I was a few days ago. I was in my read all the manhwa online era, and then I watched an interview with someone talking about anime. So now I'm in binge all the anime era. So it depends on what era I am in.
Oh, okay.
Right now I'm in the anime era, but I also love watching movies and reading shows, anything that like superhero fiction. I just love all that. And then so I have different eras. Just whenever I get bored of one hobby, I pick up another one. And then I talk to people like yourself, and then they're like, you know what, writing is great, you should try it. And then I pick up a new hobby. And then
Well, you've mentioned
yeah.
vampires, and there are RPGs and there are solo RPG games. You could always give Thousand-Year-Old Vampire a go. It's writing and role playing and vampires. Just saying.
I would buy the book solely because of the cover. It looks so cool
It's
and I want it now.
gorgeous. Look at it. Look at it. Look
I
at it.
know. Did you write in it? Like, is that how it works?
I'm not a monster. I mean, yes, you're supposed to write in it, but no. Look, would I write? Would I damage that?
Well, that's because you are doing book collecting wrong. Okay, the way that you book collect is you buy two copies. One of them you can write in, and another one is for it to just look nice.
The lady
Okay.
makes a point, but we've already had this conversation. British houses are tiny. This room is going to kill me, and it's only got one copy of each book.
Listen, I saw an interview with, I think it was like Guillermo del Toro, and he was saying, "Oh, so this is he has a whole house dedicated to just him writing, and then that's where he keeps all his nerdy things." And I'm like, that is the way to do it. I need a whole house to keep all my nerdy stuff.
So Guillermo, if you wouldn't mind just giving me the money to buy a new house,
A new house.
I would much appreciate it. And also, oh my God, June. Loved it so much. Keep it up. Especially the Life of Brian moment. Great. So, sorry.
Because he's watching. Yes.
Of course he is. I mean, everybody is. I just...
In that case, there might be someone out there who is willing to be my writer. I just want to be able to sit there and be like, wouldn't it be cool if this character did this one thing? And then I want someone to like just make that happen.
Ghostwriting is a thing, you know.
No, why are you giving me ideas?
Sorry.
Stop it.
Anyway, anime. What anime have you been watching? Let's go down there. See, I'm quite limited on my anime watching. I mostly stick to Gundam because I don't have much time during the day, and Gundam I love.
Did you collect them too?
I'm currently in the middle of making 00 Riser.
Yeah, so I kind of heard like it's a good story, but then I'm like, yeah, no, because that also has a rabbit hole. And then so listen, I blame my sibling for all of this.
I noticed that. The poor guy. I feel so sorry for him.
No. But this one he deserves. He's the one that eventually, like, he's always like, listen, you will love this anime. And then I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then eventually watch it, and my whole life changes because of that anime. And then I become super obsessed with it, and I need everyone to watch it. And then I make content of it. And then he said, like, you know what you would also like? And then I'm like, what? And then he said, like, listen, D&D. And then I was like, Oh yeah, and then I collected all the stuff that I need to play D&D. I've only played like a handful of times. Um, but do I have a bunch of books? Do I have a board game based on it? Did I buy a bunch
Oh,
of
which board
dice?
game?
Yes, I did.
Which one?
Uh, well,
Lords of
the
Waterdeep.
I bought the board game. I can't read what it's called from here. It's too far. But it is over there in display. And then I bought these, like it was a cooking book and one that tells you how to do
Oh
like
yeah.
mixed drinks. I I like those.
Oh,
Have I
on
used them? No.
Delicious in Dungeon. Have you seen that?
No. It's a
Basic.
manga.
But
So
it's in anime as well.
I
It's
I think
on
I seen the anime. Well, not actually seen it, but like I
where they go
scrolled
into
past
a
it.
dungeon and cook the monsters. It's
I typically don't like watching anime that has a lot of food in it because then I crave Japanese food, and the area that I live doesn't have a lot of Japanese food, so I try to avoid those kind of anime. But then they like really interesting, and then I kind of want to watch them. And
well,
yeah,
that one you're not going to crave Japanese food because they're cooking D&D
monster.
monsters. I mean, I think the first monster
Wait,
they cook
but
is
does
a
it
green
look good when
slime.
they do it?
Probably. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
see,
okay, yeah.
that's the thing, and it usually looks like some kind of dish, and then I'm like, great, now I'm hungry, and I want food, and I don't like cooking, so.
I mean, okay, yeah, fair play. I mean, this is one of the pages.
See, I
Yeah,
told you, yeah. And
okay,
then so I'm
yeah,
like,
fair play.
nah. And then like in anime, for some reason, they make it look extra delicious. Like I don't know.
But
Yeah.
there's a hilarious moment. Yeah, here we go. So a dwarf character shows you the parts of a green slime that you can eat. Because
Yeah,
why
yeah.
not? So, but how do you blend the geek side of things with the psychology, the mental health work? I mean, obviously, we all have our own different ways of working. How is it that you have managed? Is it you focus mainly on the self-care side of things? Or do you? Is it mostly the using quotes from Pirates of the Caribbean? How do you blend the geekiness with the psychology?
Well, let's see. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of clients who would consider themselves part of geek culture, so I don't use it that often in therapy. Um, let me rephrase that. I don't use it as often as I would like to because it's just a part of me. So I'm like, have you seen, like, sometimes I'm explaining. I think this is something everybody has seen. You know the anger iceberg?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I always talk about it, and for some reason I cannot talk about it without first asking people, have you seen Titanic?
Okay. Yeah. Huh.
And then everyone's like, yeah, we've seen Titanic. And I'm like, okay, listen, iceberg, little at the top, big at the bottom, right? Like just like
Mhm.
in the movie. And I'm like, I just can't do it without saying that. But yeah, that's kind of how I do it. I just like, oh, have you ever seen this show? And then sometimes people are like, yeah, I have seen. And I was like, okay, so the one that I use a lot is Avatar: The Last Airbender. And then uh yeah, representing. I I don't represent enough. Like I need I need more. I need more merch.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Wait, focus.
Okay.
So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I talk
Yeah.
about Avatar, and just whenever I talk about like how everything in our life, it has to be sort of like in balance. Like however much effort or energy we put into working, right, or helping other people or whatever it may be, like we also have to do that for ourselves, because otherwise there's no balance, and that's when we start experiencing all kinds of symptoms and like feeling really bad and burnout. And then I'm like, yeah, so like in the show it yeah, I'm looking, I have it right there.
Yeah. So do you
Yes.
have the box set?
Yes,
Do you have
I supported the Kickstarter, so we got all the really cool goodies that
Do you
came with
have
it.
Republic City? Are you back? Have you backed Uncle Iroh's tea plantation or whatever it's called?
No. I'm not, I try not to like, because because then I have no money, and then I haven't even played that one. And then I'm like, I need to play it, and I want to do like, I want to make content with it, which is this
Well,
that's
I mean,
that
no, seriously, I am down for it because me, Charlene, actually,
Mhm.
Eric, and Emily, we actually play Avatar on this channel.
Uh-huh.
So if you, we very sporadically, once every 3 or 4 months, but we do play it. So if you want to see how not to do it, join in.
No, because then I'm gonna be like, it
Hi.
would be so fun if we do it.
It.
And then like I was telling my friends, I was like, okay, I didn't realize I was actually a workaholic until they pointed it out. Because in my head, I'm like, oh, it's just really fun to do these things.
If
And
you
it's
enjoy
really
what you do, you
interesting.
won't work a day in your life.
True, but also like it just becomes too much. Like even then you have to set boundaries, because like there's days where I'm like, okay, I'm just not gonna turn on my computer, because otherwise I'm like, oh, I could do this one thing, or I could do this research on one thing, or like just and then like again going to cons, like talking to other people, then I'm always like, oh, you know what, yeah, we should do a collaboration. And then my mind starts like, yeah, because it will be so fun if we do this one specific thing. And then that's how I end up with like a bunch of videos on on
Okay,
YouTube.
so what we're saying is I need to keep my mouth shut for the rest of this video and not say a single thing about anything. That
I
way you're
just
not going to have any more work.
No, I mean it's too late already. You already gave me the idea,
Sorry.
ghostwriters and all these things. No. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so Avatar got to stay in balance with
Yeah,
clients.
so that's kind of how I bring it up. And even if they don't know it, then I just go, well, so the character, like this is the whole premise of the story. And then of course, I'm like, and if you have time, you should really watch it. It's really good. So it's just therapy is just really me campaigning for people to geek out more.
But also, I'm currently reading the Kyoshi novel
Mm,
that came out and I've had my eye on it for years. I'm like, I finally gave in
getting
and bought the
around to
box set. It's so good.
That's what everyone's saying, and I'm like, okay, fine,
Yeah,
I'll
and
buy it and read
and
it.
stunningly beautiful. I mean, obviously, I've only got the 3 here from it, but just
Yeah.
it's yeah. So
And then it's the worst, because then I follow all the other geeky therapists and like geeky people, and then they're like, get this. And then like it was like somebody else, I follow them because they make these really cool avatar like stickers, and then they sell them online. And then so I follow them, and then I was like, yeah. And then they're like obviously an avatar fan, and then they're like, I just got these trays that like are avatar, and you can use chocolate and you can make an avatar chocolate. And I was like, oh, I want that. So like anytime you geek out with anybody, like you just find out more, and then you just go deeper into the fandom, and like there is no way out
no,
at all.
but the
And
thing I
so
love about things like Avatar is because they're in so many different forms of
mhm,
media. So you've got the cartoon. I mean, technically it's not anime, but it's
like
anime like,
inspired.
yeah. But you've also got. I mean, I know we don't talk about the movie, but there is the movie. You've got the live action show that's just come out. You've got the novels. You've got endless comics, which are just
Mhm.
amazing. You've got the RPG. There is something for everyone in there if you can just sell it to them right. And especially with, I mean, the reason I got the RPG actually was because for a while I had a phase where all of my younger clients wanted to play firebenders. They just wanted to be able to kick the air and have fire come out of their foot. Because there's just something cool about being able to control the
Yeah.
elements, but not all of them are into cartoons, not all of them are into reading, but so you can go, well, here you go and read the comics instead, and having different avenues to nudge our clients when, as you say, especially with the adults, they go, no, but I don't do anything. I go to work, then I go to bed. It's like, well, we need to change that. Have you thought about doing? I mean, we are, in terms of geekiness, we are essentially enabling our clients. We're going, right,
But it's good.
yeah. What the problem is, you aren't addicted to Avatar enough. So we need to get you your fix.
Yes.
Either that or Marvel, or I don't know. I'm reading Conan the Barbarian, Savage Sword, because I love Conan the Barbarian. Just get anything and start doing that. It will help you in so many different ways. You're not bored as much, which means you're actually getting some positive chemicals in your system. It's going to give you something to look forward to at the end of the day. It's going to get you out meeting people with similar. It's got all of these benefits. It just means a lifetime of dedication, I'm afraid. Small price to pay.
Yeah, there is no escape once you're in.
Too right. Yeah.
But you would
won't
like
want
it.
to escape. That's the point.
Yeah, and you would like it, and it's good for you and everyone around you. Yeah. I recently, I think last year, um I finally convinced one of my friends to end up watching Avatar, and they absolutely loved it. And I was like, I told you, I told you, I told you. And then they're like, yeah, should I watch Korra? And I'm like, well, it's up to you if you really like it. I think she gave it a try. It just was not her cup of tea. And I was like, yeah, same for me. But
I'm one
yeah.
of the people who actually prefers Korra to the original series.
Yeah, I am just a child that didn't grow up, and teenage years are too cringe for me to remember. So
Yeah,
I'm
whereas
like, I
my
just
teenage years were so long ago, I can't remember what they are. I'm just Tenzin, just grumpy and love every now and again showing a softer side. But
yeah. I mean, yeah, but that's I think that's the great thing about it, right? That there's something for everyone to enjoy, right? Like I get really attached to specific characters, and if other people like other characters, then that's completely okay. And that usually the characters are great. Well, for Avatar specifically, but for anything else, really, like you just see like these really amazing characters. Like even now in video games is the area that I have, I think I would say, the least experience in. And once again, I will blame my brother, because he tried to encourage me to play video games, but it didn't really work. But then he saw what he was all like, but look at this streamer is really funny, and then they stream games, and then now I'm like, I want to play video games. And yeah, so there's something different. And I think the more I find out about geek culture, of course, for my nonprofit, this
of
is
course,
all to help my nonprofit. Yeah.
entirely, entirely.
Yeah.
I believe you. Thousands wouldn't, but I believe you.
Yes, right. Thank you very much. um yeah, so like the more I discover is like, it's just, there's so many cool ways that we can make our life so much more fun and interesting. And I'm all about that. Because my ADHD brain cannot focus unless it's something shiny. So I'm like, yeah, but it really does make life worthwhile, whatever your hobby is. Because some people, like, I think there is this disconnect sometimes where they're like, the stereotypical, like, this is what a geek is, kind of thing, like living in mother's basement, never coming out, like having no social skills or whatever,
Get
carrying
out of my
pens in
head.
their pockets. And then I'm like, I mean, you always need a pen, so you have to carry one. Anyway, so but then there's also people who are like super into like sports, and I'm like, in my head, they are also geeks. They just
Yeah,
geek about something that's more socially acceptable. And I think it's even more fun now, I think, to be a geek or a nerd, because now it's becoming more mainstream. And in my head, the more people are geeking out with you, the better. So, you know, yeah, this is just a cult, isn't it? We're just trying to initiate everyone else to become a nerd. We cannot be the only ones.
I'm good with that. I recently wrote a chapter for a book where I was looking at the psychology of religion. We all, geekery can be a faith. Let's just, I'm here for it.
Well,
Let's just make
yeah.
an icon of a giant golden die. I'm happy. I'm happy.
Well, yeah, because actually in the world of what is it, VTubers, they have these terms. I think they originated from like idols and stuff, but they have like, like, oh yeah, you're my goddess. So like it just essentially to mean that they're like their favorite YouTuber, and like the one that they,
Oh, really?
buy other merch from, and watch other streams and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I can see why people made that connection. I mean, as much as I love geek culture, I think we also have to talk about the dark side of it. And
Mhm.
that's one of the reasons that I also will like all mental health providers to be aware of geek culture or the impact that it has on people's lives. Because, like, we were essentially showcasing your life that is it can become your life, right? And but there's also this like toxic ideas of the fandom that can also be harmful. But if providers, like, if we're not asking people, like, have you ever gotten bullying online, like, are you part of this culture, did you go to comic cons, like, um what kind of hobbies, I always ask all my clients when I see them for the first time, like, what is your hobby? Because that will give me an idea of not only are they a part of the geek culture, so I have certain things I need to keep in mind when I'm working with them, and also what these hobbies are and like how much they do self-care, um, but also how comfortable they are discussing that with someone they just met. Because when I first started doing it, I would get a lot of people say things like, yeah, me too, no. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, what was that? And it's like, yeah, I'm into like Magic the Gathering. And then I'm gonna be like, because I just cannot help it. Whenever I meet another nerdy, geeky person, I'm like, that is so cool. Tell me all about it. And then people are like, you're not weirded out by this? And I'm like, no. I am beyond cringe and weirded out.
I take your Magic
Yeah.
the Gathering and I raise you.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, that's so cool. And then that's how I get adults sometimes to talk about, like, oh, I used to go to tournaments and do this. And I'm like, well, why don't you do it again? Like, because it is a community, like you said, and we just really need that. And I think it's my own sort of experience. That's kind of like how I learned. I am the daughter of, two immigrants, and I didn't really felt like I fit anywhere until I found geek culture. And then I'm like, oh, here it doesn't really matter, whether you speak with an accent or whether you are up on the latest trends, or whatever it is. And then it just kind of became my community. I didn't have to really identify like how Mexican or prove how Mexican I was or whatever. But again, like, there are the dark side of the cultures where
Yeah.
people are like, yeah, you have to prove how much of a nerd you are, or like, no, you can't come into our fandom because you're doing it wrong, or whatever.
Well, and that's, I mean, regrettably, I think that's starting to impact our specific niche of the fandom, the geek therapy side of it. I know there are some individuals who will say, oh, you're not a geek therapist unless you've done our training, kind of things. Like, excuse me,
Yeah.
who are you? No. But, because it becomes all about it becomes all about money, alas, and it's like, give me the money. You can't. Yeah.
Capitalism.
Mm. Well, see, I'm all for capitalism. I want to get paid for the work I do, but at the same time, don't don't tell me what to do. but,
uh
but
yeah.
also, there's things like so I'm a huge Tolkien nerd, and for a long time I thought the Tolkien fandom was pretty nice. But then Rings of Power came out, and now I will hold my hands up. I haven't seen Rings of Power because I am that Tolkien nerd who loves, not just the Silmarillion, just the history of Middle Earth kind of
Hmm.
thing. But I that's my choice. I haven't watched it, and therefore it's my loss if it's amazing. It's my benefit if it isn't. But the amount of vitriol that people throw at each other about Rings of Power, for example, and it's like, oh no, people just. I read an article the other day about Bridgerton,
Mm.
which a gorgeous little show about which has. I mean, it's not historically accurate because you have people of various different nationalities in high London society, and it's
Hmm.
like this is awesome. And yet, I read an article the other day about how much bile the actors have had to put up with, and it's like, guys, I thought, why haven't we moved past this?
I think that's the problem. Like, in a way, I sort of like understand, um, like people who are like, no, why are you coming up with new movies or trying to change the lore or trying to add to, whatever is canon, or like, oh, deciding whether something is canon or not. And like, at the end, it really doesn't matter because these are fictional characters. And I think I just sort of like grew up with fan fiction, so I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, now you have a reason to go and write your own stories. Jeez,
We keep coming back to
this
that, don't
is
we?
a
But
conspiracy.
hey,
This is a conspiracy.
I said nothing of you did that. You did that to yourself. I will not take
I feel
responsibility.
like
And
somehow
your,
you
your little brother
manipulated
can't
the
even take
conversation.
responsibility.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I am gonna get to the end of this, figure out who the conspiracy people are, and
Okay.
cancel them.
Oh,
Cancel
John.
myself. It's me, my own brain. My own brain is like, yeah, that sounds fun. You should do it.
But I
Um,
mean, is that side of things, so the toxic side of it? Do you come across that much with your clients or in your work and in your content?
I do. Sometimes I do get clients who talk about it a little bit, not as much. Again, because most of my clients are not really into the geek culture, just in general. Um, Yet, wait
It's
until
like
I
that just
start
means you've got to
talking
work
about
harder.
it. Yeah, I'm just working on it. Um, but yeah, but I hear like, growing up, I just was one of those people that didn't really have friends, or like I hear it now with I work with kiddos a lot as well, and teens, and sometimes um I think the way that I use geek culture in therapy the most is by me just saying, yeah, I understand, I also play.
Mhm.
Right? Or like, what did you play? Or just by being someone interested and having like a vague idea of what they're talking about. Because I have a new client and I asked about hobbies, and then they said Minecraft, and I was like, bro. And then I was like, I've been wanting to play Minecraft for a while. Like, do you know the cool things you can make in there? And they just like, their whole face immediately changed. And then there's like an like automatic connection now, because I'm just as geeky as you are, and you can talk about these things with me. And I think that's how I use it the most. And with kiddos, it's a lot easier to do because a lot of things are designed for kids to use, and adults are like, oh, I'm above that. And I'm like, no, you're not.
No,
You
you're
also
not.
need to have fun. You also need to be a nerd. Go and geek out. And yeah, the most that I hear is like, I just people not having a community, or not sharing some of their uh, hobbies with other people, because they don't know how other people are going to react, or what they're going to say about it. And I had once I had she was like a 8-year-old kiddo, and I said, oh, so what cartoons do you watch? watch? And she said, like, cartoons are for kids. And I'm like, no, they're not. Adults can watch them too. And eventually she got comfortable enough to talk about some of the things that she enjoyed watching. But yeah, it's sort of this idea of encouraging people to feel free to be who they are, and love whatever it is that they love, doing. And we just don't get enough of that, in real life, because there's like, oh, immediately, like you said, like there's certain fandoms that can be considered more toxic than others. And then so when you say, oh, well, say it, Harry Potter, and then they're like, oh, well, did you know the author and what they were all doing? And I'm like, yeah, but this is something different. Like, this is kind of like, it became a safe place for a lot of people, and that doesn't mean they agree with everything that, the creator of that thing or that brand is doing, right? It just means that they enjoy this world, and it's fun for them. So why they should stop like enjoying that and having that safe space just because the franchise got ruined?
Well, there's a concept, theoretical concept around literature called death of the author, which means that at some point the author no longer owns the material, and
Mhm.
it becomes the world's, and
Mhm.
the author suddenly has only as much right to it as everybody else. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying I subscribe to that theory, but I'm not saying I don't either. But it's certainly what the author doesn't have to affect your relationship with whatever it is you're consuming. I mean, this is why I go out of my way to learn as little as possible about
I mean,
authors that
at
I
some point, the creator kind of seems to exist because
like.
now it's all about the book. Like it's already out there. So whatever you do or think, I don't really care. I just like the pretty words you put on. Whether it was you or a ghostwriter or whatever. Like I don't care. I'm enjoying this product, and that's all there is to it. I mean, because there are things like, for example, one of the things that I highly encourage you to do for the San Diego Con was to go to Artist Alley, right? And
Mhm.
that's where you get like all the cool merch. And a lot of these people are creating either fan stories or, fan art of characters they do not own. And technically, they don't really have permission to use. But there's this like unspoken thing of like, yeah, you guys can use these characters. Because I mean, one, if I was like a big franchise, I would highly encourage people to like do fan
Mhm.
fiction and fan art, because free marketing, duh,
Yes, you're right.
right? Like that's how you keep things alive. And like I've encountered a lot of like people that are like, hey, so I read a fan fiction about something and that rekindled like my love for it, so then I went out and I bought more stuff, or like I went back to rewatch it or whatever, right? So it's like this mutual beneficial like relationship. And now, like said capitalism earlier, but like sometimes it does happen, like in the world of uh, RPG, there was a controversy, right, of who
Yeah,
was
the
able
art.
to
Yeah.
use what for, it was a D&D. Because when
D&D.
the movie came out, I really liked the movie.
I thought the movie was
Honestly,
excellent, but the Wizards of the Coast just shot themselves in the foot because 2 minutes before the film came out, oh yes, we're going to make the fandom hate us. Great, good thinking, guys.
yeah. And then my brother was like, "We're not going to theaters to watch it." I'm like, "But I really wanna. Like, it looks really fun." And then, like again, like my nerdy heart, I was like, "No, this is just going to ruin it because a lot of people are going to want to boycott or like completely remove themselves from this like
Yeah.
fandom." And it has like so much potential to do
If
things.
we don't
Because
get another D&D film, it is entirely down to Wizards of the Coast
yeah,
and
and I'm
nobody
like,
else.
but like we could have gotten really cool things, and
This
like
is why we don't get nice things. Well,
yeah, capitalism.
But I mean, I'm aware of some authors, a couple of so there's Anne Rice, Robin Hobb, who hate fan fiction. And I mean, Anne Rice, I believe, has taken people to court for writing fan fiction. She's the one who wrote Interview with a Vampire and stuff like that. And
Oh,
yeah, and I'm like you. I see going. You do realize that these guys are just doing your job for you, right? You are earning money because of these people. You get that, right?
well, okay. Listen, I think the biggest, and this is not only because I want to talk about Avatar again, but like we see it in Avatar, like their whole. I feel like it's fans. Like the companies see, oh, hey, there's a huge fandom for this. We should create more content, and we're like, we've been telling you for years, right? And you know what? Sometimes I think I got a point where when I was in my Marvel era, um, I was convinced that whoever was writing like the next movie will go online and read all the theories the fans had and be like, nope, and like turn like the complete other side. And I was like, it would have been so much better if you used the fan theories, to
Yeah.
create
Well,
things.
that did happen on Game of Thrones. I believe. I believe
Did it?
the showrunners said, "Oh right, no, some of the fans have guessed what this is, so we're gonna." I could be wrong, but
Oh, okay.
I'm sure I heard that that's what happened there. And it's like, and I've said this, especially with clients, but the best fiction doesn't subvert your expectations; it fulfills your expectations.
Yeah.
If you're going to watch a romantic comedy, you want them to end up together.
Yeah.
Don't subvert our expectations by having one of them murder the other, please. Just
Like,
show us a kiss, please.
or where the this is what everybody did like back in middle school, where they just ended their stories with, and they woke up, from the dream. Yeah, I'm like, no, just make it
Nope.
be real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but like with Avatar, we can see it because there's like, well, not only Avatar, there's a lot of fandoms that have been there for the longest, and it's a huge fandom. I was watching a couple of my favorite YouTubers and streamers talk about how they live in Japan, and if they mention JoJo to anyone, the anime, like it kind of connects like different generations because it's been something that has been like long running. And you guys have something too in the UK, Doctor Who as
Oh yeah,
well.
never heard of it. Never Doctor Who.
Right, it's just this small
Yeah, it's just
fandom.
a
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, it'll come to me. It'll come to me.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is someone out there who has not heard of it, probably. Um,
For now.
That's a show. Somebody should do a show where they travel the world trying to find someone who has not heard of these massive fandoms anymore. And I think part of what makes me really sad is that there's still so many misconceptions about what it means to be a fan of something, because it's taken too far. And I'm like, see it again, easy way for us to talk about setting boundaries. We can just be like, hey, those people online that do X, Y, and Z, yeah, don't be like that. Like, they need to have boundaries, right? Like, even if the internet is free and you can say whatever you want, doesn't mean you should. Right. And also, like, there's so many ways. Like, now my therapist brain is like, ooh, let me just talk about these other things.
Please do.
But there's like so many ways where, like, as therapists, we can be, hey, that fandom that you really like, this is how to keep yourself safe, and this is how to keep enough boundaries so you don't spend all your rent money on collectibles. Like, these are things that taking care of yourself also is a thing. And maybe it's a good thing I don't have that many clients that are nerdy, because then I will have to take my own advice, and I kind of don't want to. I kind of want to keep having piles of books everywhere
Or you
because
could
they
be
make
like
me
me
happy.
and just be comfortable being a hypocrite.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, so this is why everyone, whether they consider themselves to be a geeky or nerdy therapist or not, they need to be aware of this because there's so many people. And also because so part of why we created Psychology for Geeks, not only for spite, it's also because um, there's so many stereotypes about mental health and geek culture that I'm like, I want to help do my part to combat those and be like, no, that's not how it is. Because I see a lot of content on social media about like self-care, and most of it, I'm like, this is created by like not mental health professionals. It was like artists that are doing these things where they're like, oh, this, here's an affirmation, like here's a thing, and I'm like, which is part of me is like, I appreciate it because they are talking about mental health. A lot of the times the creator of those things, they are talking about their own mental health and encouraging people to like do therapy and normalizing those things, which is great. But also in my head, I'm like, yo, if I am someone who started to think, maybe I do want to reach out to therapy. How do I go about doing that? Right? If I follow all these people who are artists and they don't actually provide any mental health services, like, so how do I reach out? Like, a lot of people don't know how to do that, right? So then that's why I enjoy doing all those panels with people. So then I can just say, hey, listen, what area are you in? There's someone that you can work with. Right? Because I realized that I cannot be everyone's therapist, and I don't want to be everyone's therapist. There's so much I will have to learn and know and be competent in order to be able to do that, and I'm like, that's way too much work. Let me just refer you to someone who is
I know a
competent in that
guy.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not trying to work more. I'm trying to work less. So and that's why I'm always like encouraging like other therapists to be like, yeah, post things online. Yes, create your own content. I cannot be the only one that's doing it. That would be sad. So I'm like, yes, do it, because that's one way to get people to reach out. And everyone these days is spending time, on their phone, on some sort of social media. So if they come across someone that talks about therapy in a really fun way, that they feel comfortable, hey, you know what, they're just as nerdy as I am, I'll feel comfortable talking to them, so I can reach out and do therapy with them. So that's kind of what I am trying to do with Psychology for Geeks, and also a convention just as big as the one in San Diego eventually. Yes.
Definitely. And your little geek space for people just have books to pull off the shelf. Yeah, look, I am all for it.
And claw machines, don't forget about those.
Claw machines and
Yes.
and Pac-Man. Old games like Pac-Man.
Old games, yeah.
Old games, yeah.
Yeah.
Elizabeth,
And a space for VR. I was like, now I want a bunch of different spaces, because I will need like a place to like do VR. We will need therapy space for offices and panels or presentations.
Sensory rooms.
I just need a whole building to myself.
Like a center to yourself, just with different halls and
yes. I need a castle, because castles are cool, and yeah,
castle in the desert.
That the community, totally, it's for the good of the community. The community really needs to have a castle.
Not for your personal cartoon villain gratification.
I am being so selfless right now, thinking of what the community will really benefit from.
I feel how genuine you're being right now.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And all that, like, we've been talking for over to me it's felt like 2 minutes. So yes, we've actually been talking for over an hour. So I'd best let you get on and do it's Saturday today, is that right?
Yeah. It's probably like super late for you too, right?
All day? It's 77.
3 a.m. for you, you're late.
Hey, no, don't joke. I do panels with Americans at 3 a.m. I go on a channel called Continual, the con that never ends, and they don't start until 9 p.m. their time sometimes. I was
Oh.
up until 3 talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles last week, which, don't get me wrong, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
If you're gonna be up at 3 a.m., it better be
Yeah.
to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes.
But at the same time, 3 a.m. My
Wait,
body clock is.
before we end today, I just realized that I kind of want to talk about this before we
Okay.
end. So you mentioned panels, and I'm doing panels for my nonprofit's YouTube. Because it's so hard for us to get accepted into the big cons here
Mhm.
in California. The smaller cons, not as much.
Well, I mean, this is why I'm going. Sorry, just to interrupt. This is why I'm going to San Diego, because I was assured that somebody I know would get at least one panel, and so therefore I would be allowed to get. And so me and several people just threw panel suggestions at San Diego, and
Mhm.
but of course they don't tell you whether or not you've got a space on a panel until a month or so before the. Kind of like,
I know.
what? What? So anyway,
But also,
so
we don't really know the criteria. Like, we don't know how they get to be chosen. Because I'm like, hey, that was a really good idea. How could you not choose my panel?
I submitted a panel. Sorry, viewers. Rant about San Diego. I submitted a panel about mental health in Deadpool and Wolverine, because Deadpool Wolverine, the movie, is going to be coming out the week of San Diego Comic Con.
Yeah.
How did that not get? I mean, the one that I submitted about Gundam, fair play, a bit of a niche market, but hey, that tons of people have come to that as well. But Deadpool Wolverine, guys, come on. Sorry, Elizabeth, I had to rant.
No. I mean, again, out of spite, I started doing panels because cons would tell me no, and then I was like, you know what? This was a good idea. I'm gonna do it anyway. I was like, I wanted to geek out about One Piece. I will get to geek out about One Piece. And I think I submitted one for One Piece for this convention, and then now that they're gonna have this event where it's like a musical event thing for One Piece, and I'm like, my panel would have been great for this. Like, if you're highlighting One Piece, why didn't you choose my panel? Like, anyway, but the thing is that also not caught up with One Piece, so maybe they knew it. Maybe they
Maybe that, yeah.
knew.
She's not a super fan, because if she was, she'd be caught up on
Yeah, but
everything One Piece, because everybody has. I mean, it takes what, 2 minutes to be up to date with One Piece.
of
One Piece is
course, of course.
tiny.
I told my brother when I submitted it, I was like, hey, would you make sure that I like read it? Because sometimes I have other books that I'm reading and I forget I'm supposed to be reading One Piece. And then he was like, yeah, I'll help you make sure that you're caught up by the time it gets to the San Diego Comic Con. And I was like, I would have just read all the other box sets that I have left over for it. But guess now I can take my time.
Yeah.
Wait, I have one more question. Did you have you had trouble finding people, like if you get accepted to like a panel, have you had trouble finding people who are also knowledgeable in that fandom? Like
For the
other
big
therapists, I guess.
See, it's different over here, because
Mm.
the conventions over here are minuscule. I mean,
Mm.
the biggest convention we have over here is UKGE, UK Games Expo, and that's mostly almost entirely RPG based. But
Uh,
yeah, um, but that, I mean, you would laugh at that. I mean, it's probably the entire convention is probably the size of a single hall at San Diego. And so there just isn't much call for mental health stuff. So
mm,
whenever we do anything over here, it's got to be super generic. It's like role playing games in therapy, as opposed to, you know,
Avatar:
Big
The
Eye
Last
Small Mouth,
Airbender.
and or The One Ring.
Mhm.
Um, and so over here, not much of an issue. And So yeah, I can't really answer that one. This is my first experience for America in a couple of weeks, so please don't shoot me, guys. I want it to be a good experience.
Good luck with that.
My son said, "Are you going to go to a gun range whilst you're over there?" It's like,
Well, are
I mean,
you?
I
If
might
you
be.
don't, have you had the American experience?
Yeah, quite. Yeah. But is that something that you experience? Just finding difficult? Because the thing is, I've been in this sphere now, talking with people like yourself for long enough that I know a guy,
Okay.
but in terms of going to cons and getting, I don't know, I mean,
Well, for cons, I feel like it's a lot easier because, like you said, it is more of like the larger fandoms that you get. So typically, it's easier. But like the more I spend time for my nonprofit, of course,
sure.
looking into like new fandoms and something that's a little bit more niche, sometimes I will ask about them, and then people are like, "No, I've never heard. Like, what is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah." And I'm like, "I just want to talk about VTubers. Nobody else is watching VTubers."
Yeah, but you see that just means with a lot of the people I know, they're like, "No, I've never heard of that. What is it? Tell me more." And then we do the panel because
Because then now
then
I tricked them into watching it.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, smart. Okay, I'm gonna start talking about it now. Then I'm gonna be like,
I mean,
"Hey,
I think
VTubers, have
because
you? I highly recommend."
how I got into Avatar in the first, I mean, several years ago, I can't remember exactly the circumstances, but somebody is like, "Have you? Do you want? I want to talk about Avatar. Have you seen it? No. Oh my God, this is amazing. Okay, now we can talk about it."
Well, yeah, because I've said yes to certain panels, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna binge the show before the panel.
Oh,
That's how you do it, right?
yes.
Except for One Piece. Except for One Piece, you
Unironically,
can't.
yes.
You can't do that. Um, yeah. So if there's anyone out there who is into VTubers and more of like the niche things, like actually Magic the Gathering, I don't know that many people. Like just me personally, there's probably a lot of, and I think my other gripe about geeky nerdy professionals, Mattel professionals, is that they usually don't have any sort of social media. So how am I supposed to find you if
Uh-huh.
you don't? Like I don't know how geeky you are. So yeah, so reach out to me if you are mega geeky and would like to be a part of a panel, because I have ideas and I just need people to talk to about my ideas.
Well, and that is a good segue into telling us where you can be found
Oh yeah.
and what you do, how you do it, and
Oh yeah.
all of that good stuff.
I totally
Sell
skipped over
yourself to
that
the
part.
audience, but I don't have to.
Oh, that's hard. If you want to be a part of a cult that is doing everything out of spite, you
Of
should join us.
mustache-twirling cartoon villains.
Yeah. Yeah, so Psychology for Geeks is a nonprofit organization, and we provide in person and online. I was going to say services, but it's more like resources for the community. I do a lot of presentations on my local libraries and other organizations on mental health. So all of this information you can find on our website, psychologyforgeeks.com, and then also on all of our social media, which I'm pretty sure we're on everything except X. I just didn't like using Twitter, X, whatever people are calling it these days. I couldn't get the hang of it, so I just dropped it. But yeah, you can find us at Psych, the number 4, Geeks, and we're pretty much in everything, and all the other social medias. We are also going to start streaming on Twitch because I like it now. I am a streamer now. That is my other era that I have entered. Yeah, so basically, we just combine mental health and geek culture. And because my ADHD brain cannot stay within one fandom, we are doing all of them. So we talk about movies, anime, manga, and I recently did a recording for a panel on horror as a genre, and basically all the panelists were trying to convince me, because I am chicken, I am afraid of scary movies, and they were just essentially trying to convince me to give it a shot, and I think it kind of worked. So yeah, but like, I'm still thinking about it, but I do have another panel that I'm going to do, which is kind of like a continuation of that one, talking more about horror movies and spooky things. So maybe by the end of both panels I'll be fully convinced to start liking that as a genre. And yeah, so whatever it is, the geeky hobby that you're into, we probably will talk about it at some point. And if we have not, please reach out to me. And I said no, and it's a conspiracy or whatever. But honestly, I am open to a lot of fandoms and doing a lot of things because they sound interesting. So yeah, give us a look-see look, and join our community, because again, we all need to have a safe space to geek out. And as a bonus, you get to learn more about mental health.
And from the sounds of it, you're going to be joining me, Erica, Booney, Charlene over at the International Writers Fellowship every Monday at 1 p.m. East Pacific time.
Well, no, because that's when I start work. But
Yeah,
they are online, right? Like the videos you can
it's all
watch
on Twitch, yeah,
afterwards.
those ones, and YouTube, yeah.
Oh,
So.
on Twitch. Oh, okay.
Well, no,
Yeah.
Twitch and YouTube. So if you want
Then
to,
I'm gonna start thinking about writing books. That's how you know what? You're the one that put my idea, so you should become my ghostwriter.
hey, if you want to pay me, I'm all for it.
No, didn't you just hear me say we have no funding for anything? All of this, it's all volunteer work. Like,
Hey,
you get paid nothing.
said, if you're good at something, never do it for free.
Yeah, well, too late. I really took the, do something you love, you never work a day in your life, which is true, because it all fun. I just not making any money over this.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
There needs to be an extension to that saying. Let us know that we actually need to get paid for doing all these things.
And it's self-worth, Elizabeth, self-worth.
Yeah, but I also
thank you so much for coming, Elizabeth. I've been really looking forward to this chat. So, and we're going to have to do part 2 of our D&D and mental health panel at some point. Just by the way,
yeah, I just need to find like another way to spin it, because I think we talked about sort of like all the basics of it, and like, so
we'll just do it on this channel. That'll be fine. We'll just do exactly the same panel, but over here.
Oh, well, I'm down for that.
yeah.
And then we're just gonna go into like somebody else's like YouTube channel and do the same one.
Go to Booney's channel, then go to Charlene's channel, go to Eric.
Nice.
We just need to create a single unified geek mental health channel and just pull all of our viewers onto it.
Yes.
Job done. That way we only have to do one video a month each, and yet we'll still have constant content going. Perfect.
Ooh, smart. Any volunteers out there who would like to organize this? Because I don't. For free, of course.
For free.
For the community. It's for the kids. Do for the kids.
Please, won't somebody think of the children?
Yes, it's for the kids.
For the kids. Yeah. Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming along. I think we're going to be talking again at some point on somebody's channel about something, be it YouTube, Twitch, or San Diego, from the sounds of it.
Well, for sure San Diego, and then eventually you'll see us together. So they have to follow both of our channels, subscribe to figure out who's YouTube we're going to do the panel next.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But also, I suppose, for anybody who's watching it and is in the San Diego part of the world, so at time of recording, and this will probably come out 10 minutes after we finish talking. So San Diego Comic-Con, it's in a couple of weeks. If you're there, say hi.
Yes, do say hi. I am going to be filming a couple of for marketing. Fun, geeky videos at the con. So yeah, come say hi.
And
geek out. I'm always open to geeking out. Always.
that's the whole point of getting out of bed in the morning, surely.
Yeah. Today was. Otherwise, I would not be here.
You could have told me and we'd have started later. It's fine. It's
Oh no, that's why I was
no.
looking forward to this.
Not nearly as much as I was, Elizabeth. So thank you so much for coming along. Yeah, and everybody, please go over and check Psychology for Geeks. Elizabeth has so much stuff over there. It's like I say. So you, we got the D&D psychology panel. You've got is the Avatar one up yet? Have you done your Avatar? Because
not yet, because I'm trying to figure out how to do a special event for that one. So and also
do I need to
it.
blank out that I just said that and just let it
No, you can look forward to it now, because we are trying to do a giveaway for that one, to get more people, and also because I wanted to collaborate with the one person that does the really cool stickers. So I mean, for the community, it's for the kids.
It's for the community.
It's for the yeah.
Because
free stuff.
I was just sat in the background, completely just listening to what you guys were talking about, and I was just geeking out the whole time. So it was just like,
you should have joined us.
you had something like 7 people on that panel. Was there any? So there's only even 1 more.
We could have just made it a 3-hour panel. It's fine.
Hey, I'm down. But seriously, guys, go and check Elizabeth's stuff out. Join us in San Diego. Subscribe to Psychology for Geeks. That way you might get a prize for watching an Avatar video. And yeah, we will talk very soon. Yeah, any thoughts, comments, questions, please do put them down in the comments below. But otherwise, we'll talk to you all soon. So until next time, have a good one. Take it easy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Cheers.
Or maybe do.
Or maybe
everybody does.
Yeah. That's opening a can of worms that I don't think the world's ready for. Take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.